I always wanted to start a video like that, just not saying anything. I was recently watching Alec Baldwin Instagram little chat. He does these cool little chats. He's a great raconteur, that guy. And he just starts one of his videos and then sits back and pauses, you know. He's like, and it goes on for like 30 seconds before he even begins speaking. Amazing.
You see this watch? Yeah. That watch costs more than your car.
It's a corner pub. A couple of people in there at the moment. It's so funny to play, you know, pop music. If I had my way, everywhere here would play, you know, Vivaldi or something, you know, just to complete the surroundings. But the locals are like, they don't give a shit. They're just like, just play me some goddamn pop music so I can, something I can ignore. What's that from? I don't want old sad bastard music. I just want something I can ignore. A film quote for you. So I picked up the Speedy after months. I mean, I dropped it in, what was it, September 2020? The reason why it took so long was there was a disagreement between myself and the watch mender. And it really kind of opens an interesting discussion about this watch mending stuff. Look, he's a great guy. He's mended a few of my watches already. He's official. He's the man in this area of Italy. If you send your Omega in for an official repair, it will likely go to him. And at this point, he's become a good friend. Every time I go over there, it turns into a chat for like an hour. And somebody left their phone off the hook on the other end. It's just, that's been going for weeks. Here's the problem. First of all, there was a little ding on the side. Not a little one, a noticeable one, a substantial one that I put there. It fell off my desktop, off my table, where I do all my editing. And it hit the floor, and it got a fairly ugly ding on the side. Oh! It also is from 1988. It hadn't been repaired in ever, so it needed some tender love and care. It was running great, fantastic movement. The A61, one of the best ever made. But you know, it was worth sprucing up. Also, the tritium from the minute's hand had broken, was starting to crumble. This is what happens. Not only was the tritium pretty much useless, like it would fire up for a second, it still does, it's, you know, still the tritium dial. It'll fire up all glorious if you stick a UV light on it for approximately 3 seconds, and then it's gone. Tritium has a half-life of 12 years.
What the does that even mean?
Half-life is defined by the time it takes for half of it to decay. So in other words, it's never fully decayed. That's why they always go by halves. So half, then half of the remaining half, half of the remaining half, and so on. But it is a radioactive isotope. It's also very, very expensive. I was told that by my good friend Nathaniel, who's a bit of an expert on these things. It's really, really expensive because it kind of occurs by accident in the cooling chambers around the cores during nuclear proliferation. It's one of the byproducts that comes out in the water. Here's the deal, it was crumbling away, and if I put a UV light up to it, not only would it fire up the hands and the indices, but you'd also see these little speckles around on the inside of the crystal. Little speckles of tritium. But it was a bit messy, and I wanted to make a nice video on the watch, and it would have been just so annoying with all these bits. So I figured, let's bring it. Now here's the issue. He took a look at this. This is a guy who has a laboratory. He's an extreme perfectionist. When a watch leaves his laboratory, it has to be pristine. You know, that's the least you can expect. I'm sure you were all saying, yeah, of course. Here's the problem though, with Speedies, and with many other vintage watches, people want all the original parts, don't they? You don't want a dial replaced, you don't want the bezel replaced. Even if it's all nicked up, it doesn't matter. It's the original thing. People still pay like 100 grand for CK2915s that are untouched, messy, all brown. Of course, everybody likes the tropical dial and things like that. But it goes further than that. Even if all the tritium falls away from the hands, and the hands are hollow, they're like sticks with a hollow center, people still want it like that. And I'm one of those people. I'm like, I've no intention of selling the watch, but it's good to know that it's all original, right? Getting him to agree to that was like, it was so hard. He was like, I'll put on brand new hands from Omega. I'm like, no, dude. No.
Don't do that. Please don't do that.
Like, they're going to look lovely. They're going to be all pristine and brand new and shiny, but they're not the original hands. They also won't match everything else. So, it was an issue. Then he did something that just astounded me. He said, well, actually, I have tritium. I'm like, say that again?
Again, would you repeat that, please?
In the quiet words of the Virgin Mary, come again.
He had tritium from 1985. The guy's been repairing watches for decades. And he still had tritium in a little tub. He took out a tub of tritium. I'm like, what? I put my UV light up to it, it just glowed up. It was like Ghostbusters or something. The whole thing just went boom. And he said, I can try to apply it to the hands. Put original tritium from the 80s on the hands for you. It would be kind of against the rules, but I could try do it and see if it works. I said, okay, in that case, yes. Like, if that's what you're gonna do, then I'll take it, because then it's original tritium from back then in the 80s, and it's gonna be, you know, part of the history of the watch. It's gonna all match up.
I have my answer. I have my answer. I'm walking on air.
But then he reached out to me and said, look, it's not working. This tritium idea. I don't know if he realized, you know, he shouldn't do that. You know, first of all, it's, you know, not really Omega's policy to do that. And that's who he's working for. Furthermore, it's also a radioactive isotope. There's a reason why they stopped using it. It's radioactive. It's not like radium. And it's certainly not plutonium-241 or whatever. Half-life, 250,000 years or whatever. It's nothing like that. Or if he was telling the truth and said, look, I just can't, it's not working, I tried, I'm sorry. For whatever reason, he backed out of that thing. First I said, no, let's leave the original hands on. And it was just so against his nature to let a watch back out of his laboratory looking like that. Looking incomplete in some way.
Don't you know that that's an impossibility, that could never happen? That I'd use all my power to keep something like that from happening?
What's more is the tritium on the hand was already crumbling, and on the hour hand was, you know, only months from beginning to start the same process. So he said, like, you'll be back here in a few months with more pieces, you know, floating around your dial. You know, this is just, you're inviting a mess here.
You're entering a world of pain, Walter. A world of pain.
So what we decided to do was put the new hands on it, Omega hands, and keep, obviously, the original hands. So if I ever turn around to sell the watch, I can, you know, to some collector or something, because a watch like that goes to a, you know, it doesn't go to a regular. This is like a highly collectible, very special Speedy. I can always say, look, well, I also have the original hands if you want me to have them put on. You know, he can do it in half an hour. You know, it's easy to put the hands back on. Or you can take the hands and just know that you have the original pieces. But there's a lot of back and forth. And it was kind of a clash of two mentalities. To him, a watch has to leave looking new and pristine. To me, it's like, yeah, like, I'm sure the Mona Lisa would look better if it was touched up a little bit by modern artists. But you don't want to touch it, do you? Like, it was a conflict and a kind of a meeting of two mentalities in the watch world, which was interesting in itself, I think.
Cerchi pezzi.
No, cerco l'acciaio, sono di
Pezzi di acciaio.
Questo è acciaio chirurgico. Ok, questo è acciaio chirurgico. Quindi cosa fai tu? Tu cominci piano piano a fare saldature a laser, cominci a riempire, vai oltre, vai un po' oltre, ok? Dopodiché
E dopo fai lucidare, tipo.
cominci a, prima con una macchina speciale, a portare via tutto.
Ho capito.
E lo torna così.
Ok. Quindi è possibile sul mio?
Sì, sul tuo te lo faccio, però questa cunetta qua non so, devo pensare come tirartela su. Perché qui torna perfetto.
Sì.
Qui invece, che sia alzato il metallo, dovrei limare leggermente.
Jack, it's Judah. I think we should move ahead with what we discussed.
I'm down here at Punta della Dogana, the Dogana Point. Over here we have the Doge's Palace, Palazzo Ducale, and that's Piazza San Marco. If you go in there, of course, that's the famous bell tower. Over here you have San Giorgio, which you've seen many times, and all the boats next to it. I've done a lot of videoing over there. I usually try to find the places where I'm left in peace. You know, there aren't too many people walking around, but right now it's pretty much have this whole place to myself. Yeah, kind of a miraculous spot. So that's what happened with the the Speedy. I mean, I have all the original parts, so I feel fine about it. If I ever want to go back to that, they're all there. They're all kept beautifully in little tubs. He gave me all the stuff. He replaced the spring from the barrel and all of that. So it, you know, it gets its, what is it, 48 hours of power reserve or whatever. I did test it, by the way, for accuracy, and it came in at, I believe it was 1.9 seconds per day slow, which is fantastic for a watch from 1988. But there is a funny thing, because I don't know if you guys saw my video where I'm talking about the Apple Watch, the Series 5. I haven't done one on the Series 6 yet. Still on the fence about even doing that, but maybe I'll get around to it. And you can, of course, customize the screen any way you want it. You can have all sorts of jargon on the screen, or you can make it super minimalist, and that's what I went for. Surprise, surprise. I just went for hours and minutes, just the two hands. I didn't even need the numbers. You can read the time anyway. You don't need the numbers there. You can tell if it's 6 p.m. or 5 or 7. that for me was like the perfect configuration. Just hours and minutes just appearing out of blackness at nighttime, you know. You're in bed and you lean over to see what time it is. That's what's happening with my Speedy, because whatever light it gathers during the day, the hands, of course, being new, have beautiful, glorious lume on them, and the rest is tritium. So I wake up at night and I look at my Speedy to see what time it is, and I just see the two hands. It's exactly like the configure, and they're also just perfect sticks. Actually, Lorenzo tried to buy it off me. He's like, how much do you want for this thing? Because he's a big fan of the 861 movement. According to him, it's the greatest movement ever made. The thing about mine as well is I have that 1450 bracelet. There's the 1171 that everybody goes for, because it's available. It's not as expensive as the 1450, and it's easier to find on eBay. You can find one for like $1,000 or something. This thing, I found one on eBay earlier for, I think it was $34.95 or something. Maybe he won't get that, but maybe he'll get 25 or 3,000 just for the bracelet. It also has the 808 end links, which are also very hard to find. So this is what's known as the Holy Grail bracelet, because it's 1450 with the 808 ends. No other Speedy bracelet looks quite like it. So that's the decision we came to, and that's why it took so long. It was a bit of a battle of minds. Here's this guy, he's been mending watches for probably 30-40 years. Like he's a good 20 years my senior. And here I come along, like, he's looking at me going, the hell is this guy? I'm just waiting on the bus here, guys. The water bus. I'm gonna go to the Ghetto, the Jewish Ghetto. The first Jewish ghetto in the world is actually here in Venice, believe it or not. And I'm gonna go over there. It's kind of almost the complete opposite side of Venice to where I am. And I'm not just going there for a laugh. I'm actually going to look for cigars. I was told that there's a half decent cigar shop over there. I can't find many. You'd think this town with all the money and the high life and so on would have a beautiful cigar store in like Piazza San Marco or something, but it doesn't. So I'm going to head over. I'm going to take the boat the other direction from the way you normally see me take it, and it's going to bring me all the way around past the train station and on up through the canal, and then it's going to hang a left, a hard left, and go into the Jewish ghetto. Very beautiful area. A lot of towns in Italy, northern Italy, have Jewish areas. Actual Hasidim, you know, Hasidic, like Bedford Avenue in Williamsburg. Any New Yorkers, Brooklynites will know exactly what I'm referring to. I have to say, with these masks, yeah, you might complain about them, annoying sometimes, but when it's cold weather like this, they really heat up your nose. It's cozy in here, snug. There's a lot of anti-maskers commenting on the last one of the last videos I did. Couldn't believe it. It's like, seriously, dudes. Seriously? Some people just, they feel like they have the truth, you know? Dun, dun, dun. They know the truth, and we're all just lemmings. Here's the tobacco store, I think. This looks like... maybe not. Yeah.
Grande fan del petit.
Dopo mi passi il canale YouTube?
Ma certo,
Ti faccio un po' di pubblicità.
certo. Ma in realtà non è del negozio, il canale YouTube è del personaggio. Io mi chiamo Smoking Moses.
Smoking Moses. Oh, nice.
Faccio molti video sia in italiano che in inglese.
Ah sì? Dovrei iniziare un canale anche in italiano io. Il mio è solo in inglese.
No, io faccio metà e metà.
Infatti anche devo darvi via subito questi.
Anche perché io lavoro per una rivista del settore che si chiama Cigar Journal. È una rivista austriaca che viene diffusa in tutto il mondo e io faccio per loro i test alla cieca. Quindi mi danno da fumare i sigari senza dirmi che cos'è, ovviamente, e io poi devo scrivere la recensione.
Hai capito.
E questo
Blind tasting.
I blind test, esatto. Questo poi mi ha portato ad aprire un canale YouTube perché ricevevo un sacco di domande.
Certo. Come sta andando su YouTube? Vieni? No? Ti faccio un po' di pubblicità.
In YouTube funzionano le donnine
Sì.
mezze nude.
Sì.
Noi che facciamo sigari.
Che si mettono i bikini.
Esatto, se io fossi donna avrei milioni di follower.
Beh,
su
certo.
Instagram vado bene, ma su YouTube
No.
dovrei
Così
mettermi un po' più nudo. Con la testa di fuori, deve essere proprio bello da vedere.
Scusami.
Questi sono Jaime e Jenny Garcia, figlia e figlia di Don Pepin Garcia. Questo è John Gallet, mio fraterno amico, nonché importatore per l'Austria di tutto quello che non è cubano. La bellissima Nirka Reyes, figlia di Fufi Reyes, Dominican Republic, Saga Cigar. Pete Johnson, tatuaje. Questo è il mitico Don Carlito Fuente. Quello lì è Pepin Garcia, Cristian Eiroa, Rick Rodriguez.
Oh, would you look at that? Not only is he the only decent cigar retailer in Venice, but he has his own YouTube channel, Smoking Moses. Hilarious. Some of you were asking me about Hilaria Baldwin. Hillary, let's be honest, Hillary Baldwin, Alec Baldwin's wife, because if you've been living under a rock recently, or you don't care about these gossip stories, she was kind of called out for posing as a Spaniard when she's not. She's from Boston, and all the gossip channels and so on are going mad about this because, you know, what the hell is she doing? She's not really Spanish. The whole thing was that she was Spanish. Even Alec said it several times in interviews.
And hides his face after claims that his wife Hilaria has faked her Spanish heritage for years and years.
And the reason why I'm getting asked about it is because she made a mistake. Like, the smoking gun moment was when she said, how do you say in English? Oh, cucumber. She forgot the word for cucumber in English.
We have tomatoes. We have how do you say in English? Cucumber.
And on one of my recent vids, I was talking about getting all my groceries for making my turkey at Christmas. And what did I forget? I forgot the word for parsley. Just for a moment, I kind of paused and went, what's the saying? Oh yeah, parsley. So some of you were asking me, like, did you just pull a Hilaria Baldwin? And no, rightly so. The question was posed, like, is this something that happens? You forget words in the different languages? Well, look, it's clear to me what happened with that girl. And it's somewhat innocent, but it's a bit embarrassing, obviously. This is a girl who clearly went to Spain when she was a kid several times and fell in love with the place, as one would. And she picked up the language and probably a lot of their habits, their cultural habits and so on, going over there on a regular basis. And she clearly, this is my diagnosis, okay? You can agree or disagree. I just, from what I know about this, and as it happens, I know a lot about this because I know a lot about living in different countries. I have a daughter who is purely bilingual. She's been speaking Italian and English since day one. She's been hearing, I would speak to her in English, her mother would speak to her in Italian, and we would converse between ourselves in both languages. So I think what happened with Hillary, what's her name? Walker or Thompson or so, I don't know what her original last name is. She found an alternative. She found another Hillary that she named Hilaria, which is the Italians have that name too, Hilaria. I know a couple of Hilarias here. It's a nice name. She clearly just liked being the girl who's different and saw an opportunity in that. Yeah, I've experienced that a lot myself. I'm in New York. Oh, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Dublin. Oh, that's cool. Why is that cool? I don't know why that's cool. Just because being different is somehow cool. I don't know. Here in Italy, it's the same thing. People are like, oh yeah, where's your accent from? First they think I'm an American and I have to correct them. But when you're the slightly different person, you get treated slightly differently. Hopefully in a good way. My best guess is this. When Hillary went to Spain, she was Hillary. She was the girl from Boston. How cool is that? All the Spaniards must have been saying, wow. And then she came back from Spain and she was just another Boston girl. Or was she? It's a little sociopathic, to be honest, to do something like that. But she clearly said, I want to be different here too. And she just made it up. She invented it. She invented a new person called Hilaria. A lot of people find the whole thing quite hilarious, which I'm sure is a joke has been made too many times. I think it's fairly innocent. I don't think she hurt anybody with it. One question that springs to mind is, does he know, or did he know? Alec Baldwin's a very sharp dude. And he's worldly. He's been all around the world plenty of times, I'm sure. Did he kind of sense it or figure it out? Oh, she's not actually Spanish. She's just kind of assumed the Spanish identity. And did he just let it go because it was cute? Or when you're bilingual like that, you don't carry the accent over. Your whole lexicon shifts. So her going, how you say in English? Oh, cucumber. She's an actress. You've seen her in interviews probably, if you give a shit about this story, which maybe a lot of you don't. But I was asked about it, so I got to answer. And defend myself, because I was being, I won't say accused, but there were inquiries made. When you see her in interviews, she's the leading role between the two of them. Alec takes second place. He plays second violin to her in the interviews. He stands behind her and kind of plays the idiot in the background or something. She's up front. She's the protagonist between the two of them. It's not that hard to imagine that the girl maybe saw the opportunity to make herself look more exotic and interesting for Instagram and all that, by seeming international. But there's a certain innocence to that too, isn't there? Like, a New Yorker would never it's such a difference between Boston and New York. I'll never get over it. Like, there's an innocence to that, right? That the Boston girl would think that pretending to be Spanish made one more intriguing somehow. Like, a New Yorker wouldn't think that. I'm gonna go around to there's a watch store here, reseller called Frollo. He's pretty good, has some good stuff. So I'm gonna go check out what he's got.
Quello con la scritta rossa.
Sì, che avevano un problema, vero?
No, quelli dopo, dove c'è la scritta Swiss Made, gli hanno messo una coroncina in mezzo. E quindi sono tutti modelli...
Ma sono sempre uguali, di misura?
Uguali. Solo che questo è il primo che è uscito del 2017, dopo hanno fatto gli altri.
Ma passo quando c'è il papà, mi racconta tutta la storia della famiglia, tutto, passo bello. Nice. Vintage subs, guarda che belli che sono. Sì, aspetta che ne metto su anche questo.
Aspetta,
quello con un modello classico da tutti i giorni.
Sì, questo per dirti con i diamanti, per lei no. Oh, grazie mio, gentilissimo. Così me lo guardo dopo e ci penso. Bello questo. Anche questo col quadrante.
Però lì andiamo sui 40 mm.
Secondo me è incredibile questo orologio. Caso me passo con lei?
Sì, beh, assolutamente, noi siamo qua, magari continuato quando vuole.
Ah sì? Magnifico.